Let's start today with Cody Nesper.
Hey, Coach. It seemed like everybody's command was a little bit shaky today. Do you think – is that just a result of the time off?
Yeah, they weren't quite as sharp. Everybody really competed. I felt like the intent, the focus was good, and they just got better for the most part the longer they went. And so I think having a little bit of time off, having we didn't have sim games, didn't have scrimmages. We were working in small groups. It's tough to simulate a game when you have a couple guys on the field at a time, but it looked like Carter got better later. Messing, Jeffrey got better a little bit later in his outing. Wolf found at the end of the fourth, kind of found his fastball command there for an inning. So I think that had a little bit of something to do with it, but the bottom line is we got to be better, and you can't walk, can't give free passes to that kind of team. And they took advantage of it, had a really big knock there. And so we just got to make sure we don't give up free passes and, play catch a little bit better. And like you said, if we can increase our command and limit the walks, we'll be in better shape.
Go ahead, Sam Caniglio.
Coach, you mentioned Jackson Wolf. There's been a lot of talk about his new slider this year. Looked like he was kind of hitting at times, kind of missing the edge at times. Generally speaking about his performance, what do you think about his performance so far this season?
Been really good, and he's been our rock. His last outing before this one, he was excellent. Just against Kennesaw State, he really had everything cooking. You obviously miss a start, and it's a little bit hard. It's like you're starting the season over again. So just iron some things out there, and he'll be right back to the Wolfman that we know. His slider wasn't quite as sharp. His fastball velocity was really good, but his command wasn't quite as good. He had 5 walks today and 5 punchies, but 5 walks is unusual for him, and our expectations are for him not to have a walk-in inning, obviously. And so I think it's just getting back out there. It's just getting back out there, pitching, competing, getting back in that moment. That'll be big for him. So hopefully kind of keep the ship rolling and get guys in their routine again. That will help a lot.
Next is Joe Mercado.
Steve, from the time you guys went on pause, what were you able to do? I mean, when were you able to get back in some type of rhythm and routine? And how difficult is it to, once you get the season started, to just stop and then try to ramp back up?
Yeah, I don't want to focus on it too much because it's just a reality, and I don't think we're the only team in the country that's had to do something like that or overcome some adversity or some obstacles. So we weren't good enough. We weren't prepared to win the game today. However, we had 2-person groups on the field. To answer your question, just to give you the details, we had 2-person groups on the field, and we've had 2 groups of practices once the facility was opened after 7 days. So we had the non-contact traced players, and then we had a few contact traced players that were just moving their arms, keeping socially distanced, wearing masks to ensure that when they were able to come back and compete, they didn't then injure themselves, because you can't shut down from throwing for 10 days and then jump back into a baseball game without hurting yourself. And so clunky to say the least, but our guys, a lot of them got to work and they got to compete and they got to be on the field. And that's better than a lot of programs and a lot of kids. And so we had our obstacles just like anybody in the country has. But playing game, it's hard to simulate playing games versus competition. So we look forward to doing that.
We'll go back to Sam.
Patty looked like he was having a good day on the mound for Central Michigan, but you guys still got a handful of hits, a trio of runs on the board. What was tough about getting the bat on the ball today, do you think?
He was really good, and unusually, he probably threw 95% fastballs today. If you go back and tally him up, he's got a pretty special fastball. And so before they had all these analytics and TrackMan data and those things, they would say that the fastball really jumps out of his hand. If I had to guess, the data would suggest that he has a super high spin rate fastball. And so although the velocity was good, I think he was maybe, 91 to 94 in the first, it plays up. So to a hitter, it appears that it's much firmer because of that spin. So he had command of it, and he was throwing it wherever he wanted, and it's a good fastball. And so he lived off of that, and we weren't very successful offensively. We had a couple barrels and a couple knocks, but never really got anything going against him is the truth.
Go ahead, Cody.
So, Coach, you said it seemed like some guys got better as their outings went on, but one of the guys who looked good the whole time was Ben Hampton. Why has he been so good to start the year, and then just what does he throw?
Yeah, he's such a stud and such a quality kid. He's a true freshman from Wisconsin, and he was actually coming back from an injury. And so today we wanted to get him 1 inning of work and maybe prepare him for a midweek start. If that wasn't the case, he probably would have kept rolling because he's been fantastic. He's got one of those fastballs that really plays up. No one seems to connect with the fastball. He's got more of a 12-6 breaking ball. And as you can see out there, it's super confident, it's aggressive, and it's unafraid. And that's what we need to spread across our entire pitching staff, because whether it's, blissful ignorance, he's a freshman out there that has been carving, and he's been doing that routinely. And he got a little bit beat up over this quarantine break that we had. And so we were just getting him 1 inning of work, and hopefully he starts becoming a huge part of our pitching staff moving forward.
And Sam.
Something to say for you guys when the game gets down to the wire. It really seems like you guys do not quit. So when it's crunch time, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, game's close, what's the mood around in the dugout?
That's a good softball feel-good question for me, Sam. I appreciate that because I actually agree with you. I think our team has been really resilient. We've been in a lot of situations this year where it's been a little bit ugly. It's like can't quite get things going. We're working, we're mustering it up, we're trying to get it going, and the guys just stay tough. And that 9th inning is just another example. You have an opposite field homer. Brophy lands on a ball that without wind going the other direction might be a double or a homer. You have freshmen in there battling. We had 7 true freshmen in the lineup today. I'm sorry, not true freshmen, 7 total freshmen in the lineup today in a year in college baseball where it is extremely old, extremely veteran, guys with tons of experience. And so you had young dudes all over the field getting better, grinding, competing. And I think that's really been the case. The Mountaineers traditionally, because during the winter we're indoors and we open up in the South, it's not always pretty. It's more about learning how to compete early in the year. And then when you get things clicking and command goes up and we start fielding the ball more cleanly and throwing across the diamond more cleanly, and we have some games under our belt, traditionally we've gotten better as the year has gone on. But the one thing that you just can't allow is that any non-competitiveness. We have to be competitive. You have to continue to believe. You have to think you're going to pull out all of those games, because that's our MO. That's our motto. That's what the team's built around. And so I think we've done a good job with that.
Cody.
I just wanted to ask about the catch that Matt made in the 8th. Just how difficult of a catch is that really? And then he seemed okay afterwards, right?
He didn't right afterwards, and I was extremely nervous at the time. Matt's obviously one of the best players on our team, but we actually didn't have a reserve position player left. We, I believe, had already pinch hit for William Bean with Alec Burns. And so if Matt was to be injured there, I don't think we had anybody left on the bench. So we would have had to put a pitcher in at a position. And so first and foremost, concern for Matt, he's laying on the turf. You think that he's injured. Then you're going, that wouldn't be good to lose one of our best players. And then you're going, we need to get a pitcher probably warming up here. Alec Burns may have still been on the bench at that time, but you were getting thin. But it was an unbelievable catch, and for him to be playing first and to catch a ball all the way back, that's normally a catcher's ball. It was unbelievable, and it was a sign of leadership because we had a freshman catcher who was starting his first game in college, who did a fantastic job behind the plate. And knowing that that's one of those plays that you don't get to practice a ton, the foul territory fly ball for a catcher with gear on, with wind howling to left, coming back into fair territory because it was over the stadium. So it was just it was an awesome play for a kid kind of stepping up in a big moment, trying to just stop what was going on. And so it was an unbelievable play, really cool play.